Welcome to Knowledge Update channel. Recently, NFRA has issued a consultation paper and also a draft SA600 revised. Revision of SA600 has been the hot of discussions this last few time. Let us understand during this video what is the reason of debate and discussions by NFRA and ICAI on SA600 revision. And second very important thing is to understand the difference between SS600 which stands today and the revised SS600. This is a news dated 31st August 2024 where it is in Financial Express. It was being noted that the ICAI raises concerns over NFRA's new norms. We just look at the news item, it's primarily talking about that the institute fears that some of the proposed standards could lead to concentration of work in the hands of large audit firms. Again, there has been discussion that at the moment many of 1.7 million unlisted companies are audited by 96,000 small and medium-sized practices, comprising either sole proprietor or partnership with the 2 to 5 partners. ICI source said that in countries that have adopted ISA 600, the number of audit firms tend to be limited. So that was the main concern, fear of ICI, that probably by revision of SA 600, this may have an impact on the number of audits by SFP. Now against this, there has been the in Economic Times, it is September 2024 recently. It was mentioned that fear over proposed revamp of audit standards misplaced, which has been noted by NFRA. NFRA is termed as misplaced fear of a proposed revamp of the domestic audit standard in sync with the global norms adversely affecting small and medium-sized firms. In a note on its draft norms to overhaul the extant standard of auditing SS600, NFRA said that the audit of more than 98% of the active companies in India won't be impacted by the new rules. So NFRA has released a draft revised ISA 600 and also issued consultation paper. So let us understand that what is all about this ISA 600 and what it talks about, how it is different from the existing ISA 600. So SA600 is applicable primarily for where you are using the work of another auditor. So using the work of another auditor, it mainly is applicable when there are group companies is there. So there is a holding company, there is a subsidiary, associates, and there is a group of companies. Generally, it happens in case of large conglomerator where one of the company may be the large one, and other these are components or subsidiaries or associates, which may be in the range of 50, 100, 200, even 300 group companies are there in certain large size of companies. Now, the question or the issue rooted around these where the main company or holding company is being audited by a certain large size firm, and they depend upon the audit of the component auditors. So when you just use the word component, means it's an audit by the subsidiary associates. Audit of subsidiary associates are called component auditors. So whenever the group auditor, so the auditor of a consolidated financial statements, when it issues express the opinion, that opinion is also primarily based on the opinion provided by these component auditors. As I mentioned, component auditors means auditor of the subsidiary associates, which are not audited by the group auditor, but however, whatever the opinion expressed by the component auditor, that has been relied upon by the group auditor, and then it has been given the overall opinion. Now this SS600 revised. What is very important thing is that in revised SS600 also, we just look at the consultation paper and also the revised SS600. On the heading, it is mentioned that it is applicable to audit of public interest entities. However, excluded is the public sector enterprises, public sector insurance companies, public sector bank and their respective branches. Thereby, it has been clearly made by NFRA that for bank branch audits, this is not applicable. So, this is applicable to the audit of public interest entities. Now, PIAE has been defined in the NFRA rules, which includes all listed companies and unlisted companies with criteria like more than 1,000 crore turnover. So, any entities which is being covered under PIE, and if you are auditor of PIE, then the group auditor PIE, when they depend upon the another auditor, in that case, the SS 600 come into picture, and then we need to apply with that. So giving you further information that the draft comment has been placed on NFRA website. The link has been provided here. The last date of receiving the draft comment is 30th October, and alternatively, one can also issue comments to this email ID with subject comments on proposed SS 600 revise. So this is the primarily what is been looking for this in particular situation. Now let's understand that how SS 600 revise is different and what is going to have change and impact. Before I talk about that things, let us understand the reasoning which has been provided by consultation paper by NFRA. It has been noted that in the recent orders of NFRA, that in large groups and companies, in many cases they observed that because of the work and reliance on the component auditors, that real true and fair is not coming to picture. So they has been looking into the series of the NFRA orders where they make a reference to certain orders, certain reports where they mention that the component auditors are not able to provide sufficient reliance and it is being accepted reliable by the group auditor, which may not be correct. So on this background, let us now jump to a next part, that is on let us understand about how SS 600 revise is different. So the purpose and objective here is to, I'm just providing the fact which has been by which is available on the public domain. I'm not commenting on what is right, what is wrong, and I left upon judgment of every one of you to decide and then provide your comments. See, the most important thing is to be a more collaborative approach and to ensure that we all can play a pivotal role in national building. So first very important thing is the degree of responsibility of the principal auditor, vice versa the component auditor. So existing, if you just look at, it says entitled to rely. So group auditor is entitled to rely, except he is not aware of any reason to believe that he should not have so relied. So basically, the group auditor can rely on the opinion provided by the component auditor, unless or otherwise there is some reason wherein the group auditor may have doubt or they have reason to believe that it is not correctly to rely, then only they are able to extend. Otherwise, the group auditor can rely on the opinion and on the report of the component auditors. In proposed SS 600 revise, there is no such division of responsibility. The group auditor is responsible for the group as a whole, and there is no exceptions provided as has been provided here. Second is on assessment of professional competence of the other auditor. Under SS 600 revise, it has been noted that the group auditor is also required to look at and assess the competence of the component auditor. However, in existing essay, which has mentioned that every CA is equal. So every professional, when he is assigning, he is a chartered accountant. So there is no need to go further to understand that what is the professional competence of a CA. So that particular exemption or relaxation was available, and here it has been removed, and it has been primarily provided responsibility on the group auditor to judge and assess the professional competence of the component auditor to carry out the assignment which is required. Third very important point is of sharing of the work paper. Existing, just look at, there are two mainly primarily elements. One is the second schedule of Chartered Accountants Act, where clause 1 it mentioned that the chartered accountant will be deemed to be guilty if he shares information other than as required by law. So that is where the chartered accountant cannot. So this particular clause is about, for example, if the component auditor is there, group auditor is there. The group auditors wants to get the access to the working people of the working papers of the component auditor can they get? So here I think the CA Act mentioned that you cannot share the confidential information of the client. And the Code of Ethics revised 2020, which mentioned that audit is not required to provide the client or other auditors of the same enterprise or related enterprise such as parent subsidiary access to his working paper. Now these two particular points, which are by law, which mention that there are restrictions on providing sharing working files. However, basically, if you just look at SS 600 revised, it predominantly mentioned that the group auditor has right to get access of working papers, and the competent auditors, if required, will be required to provide the working papers. So there is a complete change in the scenario as far as SS 600 and SS 600 revised is concerned. Now let us have briefly look at the key aspects of SS 600 revised, what is being proposed, and what is the responsibility of group auditor. I think the most important thing here is that there is a change in the responsibility of the group auditor. Earlier, group auditor was able to say that yes, I have rely on computer. Now it is not end. The responsibility doesn't end at reliance on the computer auditor. It goes beyond that, and then group auditor has to take over onus and responsibility of the whole assignment. So it mentioned that group auditor is ultimate responsibility for the audit of group financial statements and group audit report before acceptance. That's why when basically the group auditor has been appointed, he has to understand before acceptance that whether he will be able to provide, whether the company is able to provide appropriate audit evidence or not. So before acceptance also, the group auditor has to be cautious about his duty responsibility, and then they need to really evaluate that whether he's expected to appropriately received audit evidence or not, and accordingly the terms of audit engagement need to be revised. Group auditor is also responsible for the overall group audit strategy and group audit plan. It is not primarily only for the particular company, but yes, overall group plan also it has to be involved. He is responsible for determining the nature, timing, and extent of direction, supervision, and review of the component auditor's work. So, component auditor's work, how much detail it has gone, which are the working papers, how the basically it has been done, what is the plan thereof. So, these all need to be even evaluated by the group auditors. Also required to communicate to the component auditor of the respective responsibility and expectations, which has been very clearly laid down between the both group auditors and component auditors. Understanding the group and its environment, the applicable financial reporting framework, and the group system of internal control, that all is a responsibility of the group auditor. Timely two-way communication is very important between the principal and component auditor. Group auditors are responsible for the group-wide identification of assessment of the risk of material misstatement. So identification and assessment of ROMM is also the primary responsibility of the group auditor. Also, group materiality and component performance materiality communication thereof is required. Further audit process which will required as a response to ROMM. If there is a risk of material misstatement identified, then what should be the further audit to be done? That also need to be decided and communicated by the group auditor as required. There is a clear responsibility as far as the consultation process is concerned of the group auditor, evaluating the component auditors' communication and adequacy of their work. So just look at the group auditor is required also to go beyond its own work, but peep into the component auditor's work, and then also to look at is it appropriate, not appropriate, what is to be done added, whether working papers are correct, adequate, not. Evaluate the need for review of additional documentation of the component auditor. Determine whether additional audit procedures are required to be performed. Evaluating the sufficiency and appropriateness of the audit evidence obtained. Group auditors to have a detailed documentation to support compliance of these requirements. So if you just look at, I think ultimately overall, if you just look in one liner, the group auditor is responsible for the group audit at all. It is not cannot be saying that certain components are done by X or Y. As a group auditor, you have to take complete onus and responsibility about the audit plan, group plan, group materiality, what the competence of the auditors, the plan and work plan of the auditors, working paper of the company auditors, and then recommunications, review, ROMM. So lot of things are being involved here, and then that is the main primary difference between these SS 600 and ISO 600. So with friends, the purpose of here is to give you a brief update, and I request all of you to whatever feedback, comment about these things. Let us be come together and send whatever you feel is correct about your comments to SS 600 for SS 600 revised to the information which I have provided. You can also refer to the consultation paper of the NFRA, and also you can refer to the ICAI revised and then provide comment. Thank you so much.